Sasa YouTube, here are 4 reasons why you're not losing weight. Let's get to it. Hi, my name is Daniel Chege. I'm a family nurse practitioner currently practicing functional medicine, and I am here to help you attain and maintain optimal health. So let's talk about these 4 reasons I think that you are not losing weight. Number 1, insulin resistance. So this is a big topic right now in the current landscape because we have a lot of diagnosis of diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia. All these are metabolic issues, but I'm going to center mostly on insulin resistance. So what is insulin resistance? So think about it this way. You have your bloodstream and then you have the tissues. Insulin goes both ways. But whenever you have a lot of glucose in your blood, your pancreas tends to increase the production of insulin into your blood. And when it does that, it's trying to match the amount of glucose that you have with that insulin so that it can keep your glucose down. And how insulin works to keep your glucose down is that there's a little receptor from your bloodstream into your cells that lets in insulin. Through a cascade of processes in your cell, then gate is open to let glucose into the cell, and then the glucose is usually used for energy to create ATP and among other functions. Whenever you have too much glucose in your bloodstream, you create too much insulin, and whenever that insulin is released by the pancreas into your blood, it goes into that little insulin receptor and it bombards it with too much insulin, and that insulin receptor gets to a point where it can't take it anymore. It gets overwhelmed and then stops absorbing insulin, so the insulin stays in your bloodstream, thus your glucose doesn't go down, and that is how we create diabetes. Insulin is a hormone and it is the gatekeeper. Think of it this way. Insulin is what directs traffic being the food that you eat. Whenever your insulin is high, it directs traffic towards storage. You store that as fat, and then it makes you gain weight or makes you not lose weight. Or whenever your insulin is within optimal range, then it tends to make sure that you use that food as fuel. Whenever your insulin is at normal range, you tend to have the susceptibility to lose weight, especially whenever you do weight loss activities such as exercise and fasting. Number 2, inflammation. So inflammation is a word that's been thrown out there a lot these days. What it simply means is that you are starting fires in your body. So think about it this way. Whenever you get an infection, let's say like a small infection like a common cold, you tend to have that infection, and then the body through the immune system has to ramp up your temperature to be able to deal with this infection. So we call that the body increasing oxidative stress to be able to deal with this infection and kill it. So it's causing stress to this infection. Like for example, if it's a common cold, it raises your temperature so that this virus cannot survive. That raising of the temperature, or that increasing of oxidative stress, is what we call inflammation. Now, inflammation is actually a good thing. The problem with inflammation is when it's perpetuated and continues to happen when it's not supposed to. Whenever you get that infection, you start raising inflammation to deal with this infection. Inflammation also continues, but supposed to resolve at one point, and then you get into a place called a resolution phase, where now you're cleaning up everything and you're going back to where you are prior to the common cold. The problem that we see now is that inflammation is perpetuated by certain factors. Things like diet and lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, eating foods which are very inflammatory. This can perpetuate inflammation. Your body tends to hold on to all the resources that it needs, and anything else that you give it, it tends to store it because it is anticipating that it's going to need resources to fight whatever with this inflammation perpetuating and going on. Reduction of inflammation is very helpful when it comes to weight loss. Number 3, hormone imbalance. I'm going to talk about 2 hormones specifically here. 1, thyroid. Thyroid hormone is usually produced by the thyroid gland. If you have an underproduction of the thyroid hormone, it tends to reduce your metabolism and make you retain weight and causes weight gain. If your thyroid is underactive, you're not producing enough thyroid hormone, and you're trying to lose weight, high possibilities that it's going to be pretty difficult for you to do so because you are hanging on to quite a bit of weight. When it comes to treatment for thyroid hormone, find a practitioner who can be able to look at the right numbers that the thyroid hormone needs to function so that they can correct it the right way. The second hormone I'm going to talk about is estrogen. Whenever you have too much estrogen, you are metabolizing your estrogen in the wrong way. It tells me that testosterone is being converted to estrogen way faster than it's supposed to be converted. We call that process aromatization. Something like insulin resistance will cause aromatization to rise, tending to go towards estrogen dominance. Then you tend not to let go of weight. It is so crucial to find a provider who will be able to balance your hormones in a way that you are able to have a good balance of the progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, and also your thyroid hormone in a way that you are able to stay in balance. Number 4, HPA dysfunction, or what we would call stress. HPA dysfunction is the connection between your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are the stress response for your body. Whenever you have high stress, the adrenals tend to create cortisol, trying to cope with the stress that you're going through so that the stress does not affect your body. Whenever you are in a constant, chronic, even if it's a low-key stress, your adrenals are always ramped up, creating more cortisol than they're supposed to. If you take a steroid for a long time, you tend to start gaining weight. A steroid like prednisone, for example, is pretty much the same thing as cortisol. The cortisol continues to stay up and tends to make you retain weight and go back to, so if you cause stress to the body is inflamed, and then whenever it is inflamed, it tends to keep all the resources that it can because it's anticipating to continue to encounter a stress. So in other words, all these 4 reasons are connected in some kind of way. The best way to be able to help the HPA axis is to reduce your stress as much as you can. This is where the psychospiritual side of things comes to play. Things like taking deep breaths or doing breathing exercises, Wim Hof breathing exercises. Those ones really help to stimulate your vagus nerve and calm you down. And by calming you down, this tends to reduce the stress that your body is encountering. I hope you liked this video. I know I covered a lot of information in this video, but hopefully this will help you kind of have a good idea as to why you're not losing weight. If you have any questions or comments, you can comment down below, and you could tell me which one you think you are going through. Just remember that these 4 are pretty interconnected. So high possibilities that if you are encountering or you think you are having one that's causing you to not lose weight, it's connected to 1 more or 2 more. Please like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video.